Greetings. My name is John Peterson, Executive Director with School Administrators of South Dakota. Today is March 3rd, and we're in the Capitol Chamber. Our guest is Senator Ben Nesselhuf, who is on the Education Committee. I know I've been a full-time attendee in Senate Ed meetings for the past 3 years, and you've been there that long, I know. So even though this is short, Senator, it's 10 minutes, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You bet. Well, I come from Vermilion. I represent District 17, which is Clay County and Turner County. Been on the Senate Education Committee for 6 years now. Been in the Senate for 6 years, was in the House for 4 years before that, so I'm in my 10th year in the legislature. And this is my final year.
Really?
So it's a little bittersweet for me.
You're running for state office?
I'm running for state office.
What are you running?
Running for Secretary of State.
Okay, all right, interesting. Well, Senator, yesterday there was some interesting bills in Senate Ed yesterday. It was one where we had schools that were testifying for and against the bill, which is kind of unique. And the bill was 1150, and that bill basically would take away the school factor from schools that would open enroll. And so, as I said, we had both sides on that. You want to comment on that bill?
Sure. With the majority of the committee, of course, we voted to table that bill. My thought on it is I'm less concerned about where a student resides and more concerned about where the student's getting their education. We decided a long time ago, of course, to include the small school factor because we understand that there are economies of scale that you get with larger school districts and you don't get with smaller school districts. So it does cost more to educate kids at smaller schools. Regardless if they open enroll or if they're residents of the school district, I thought that they should receive the small school factor. I understand there are some school districts that do not receive the small school factor that don't support that idea. And I think they are under the impression that if the small school factor went away, then that money would be distributed to the rest of the school districts. I've seen nothing in my time in the peer to believe that that would actually happen. So I voted against the bill for that reason.
You know, and I guess I got to take this opportunity and make a comment. Pardon? I've got to take this opportunity and make a comment that school administrators, that we want to stay neutral on this. I mean, because we represent the large schools and the small schools. With that said, moving right along, Opportunity Scholarship.
Yeah.
It seems like, I think there have been 4 bills for Opportunity Scholarship.
Yeah.
And where are we at with Opportunity Scholarships?
Well, the scholarship is still fairly new. It was only been created in the last 8 years. So I think that we're still, every year we see bills up that change the amount of money, change the qualifications to get the money. I think we're still kind of getting our legs under us on the Opportunity Scholarship. So this year, as you said, we saw 4 different bills up. Some of them are just tweaking the qualifications, which I think is probably all right. Some of them are to allow a way for homeschool students to receive the scholarship. Again, I think with the amendments we put on that's probably all right. But some of them are drastic changes that I don't support. Some of them, there's a bill up that's been amended, but there was a bill up to take the money away from the first year and move it to the 4th year.
Right.
I don't support that idea at all. I think that would effectively kill the scholarship, and it's, again, something we fought so hard for. I come from Vermilion. Scholarship's pretty important to me and my community. The other bill that's up would basically just move the ACT score from 24 to 26. Again, not something I support. I think that the reasons behind it are to save money. And I think that the Opportunity Scholarship is an investment in our vested rights. I think we want to keep them here, and I don't think we should look to the Opportunity Scholarship as a way to save money for the budget this year.
Senator, school administrators, we're proponents of schools having the predictable funding of 1.2 this year. I mean, that's what we're looking for. It doesn't sound real good, but are we still in the ball game? Still in the hunt on 1.2?
Let me tell you, we have voted on that, I believe, 3 times. Once in the Education Committee, now twice on the floor. We have tried to amend bills to include the 1.2%. We have not had the support on the Senate floor. I believe the first time we had 17 votes, pretty close, but we have not had the support. So unless in the appropriations process they find the extra money for that, I don't think we're going to get it. It's something, again, that I support. I've always supported that we stick by the formula, as bad as I believe the formula is currently. I think that we do have a commitment, and we need to keep that commitment. It's a tough budget year, and for whatever reason, and I don't agree with this, but for whatever reason, people usually look to education as a place to make cuts when times are tough.
appreciate your candor. You know, for the future, we like 124. 124 is the bill that you know would raise the amount that we would receive. I believe this week in House Education, it was amended so that it would be a low of 2% and it would be a max of 5. In the past, I think the original bill 124 was a low of 4 and a high of 7. It was amended. Any thoughts on where that's going?
Well, actually, this is an improvement from what we've seen. We, in the past, have had 3 of the 4 caucuses have been on board with increasing it between 4 and 7. We've had the Senate Democrats, the Senate Republicans, and the House Democrats on board, and we've always run into a logjam with the House Republican caucus in the past. So the fact, I think, that they're willing to look at a compromise, if you will, of the 2 to 5%, I think is a step forward. Now, I would like to see them get back up to a minimum of 3, but I think that we're going to see some progress this year. So I'm excited about that.
All right. Well, you know, here's your opportunity. I've been shooting questions at you about certain bills. What's your thoughts on the legislative session so far this year? How many years have you spent in the legislature?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
So compare this to the other 10. Where are we at?
Well, it's a much more difficult conversation this year because of the budget situation that we're in. So our conversation is largely about where do we find money, where can we make cuts, and like I said, when we look at the budget, of course, a big chunk of that is in education funding. So if we don't increase the 1.2%, there's a few $1 million savings there, which is why I think that is so often that's where people want to look. Now, again, I view education funding as a investment, and I would like to see that continue. But the lemons out of lemonade, or lemonade out of lemons, if you will, is the bill we just discussed, which would change the formula. I think that this year, since the governor's proposing a 0 increase, and since most of the legislature appears to agree with that, I think this is the time to change a formula that's been flawed for since it was enacted in '96, I believe. And if we'd had one of these bills in place instead of the current formula, we would be in a much, much better situation, the schools would be, than they are right now. What we have is broken clearly. We just went through a major lawsuit because of it. So I think that the best thing that can come out of this year is to change the formula going forward to make certain that schools are better taken care of. So that's a fight we've had. I've had it every year we've been up here. I think I see a light at the tunnel this year. We might actually get it done, and I would think would be one of the major accomplishments in the decade that I've spent up here. So I'm excited for that.
You know, again, we're running out of time. We've got about a minute here, and I've always appreciated you for your candor. I truly have for your candor. Okay, and so with that said,
I feel a setup, John.
Well, you know, what could we do to be more effective as lobbyists, education?
I think involve the teachers, involve the community members, get them up here, get them emailing, get them calling. That's I think how you can have power in the debate once it's happening. Before that, I would suggest get involved before the election and make certain that you have thoroughly vetted the candidates for what we do up here matters. And I think that the best thing you can do is find pro-education legislative candidates and work to get them elected.
Well, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
I know you're
Thanks
busy
so
man.
much.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Okay.